Alright, so in a follow-up to the video of me buying a backhoe, there was a lot of information that I couldn't find on the internet about hauling a backhoe. Of course, all I had at the time was this car trailer. It's a 16-foot car/equipment trailer. You see it has 6 lug axles. It has drum brakes on both, electric drum brakes on both. They're both rated for 5,000 pounds each. So 10,000 total capacity. The tires are, I think, are 11,000 altogether. So up to 10,000 pounds. The backhoe that I was hauling was, with the options that it had, around 11,500 pounds. And when you take that weight and you factor in the tongue weight, which is 20%, let's say 15 to 20%, that's what you take from the total weight. So actually what was on the trailer was just over 10,000 pounds, or just what was on the axles was just over 10,000 pounds. So it just barely did work. But the biggest limiting factor is how it actually fit on the trailer. I took all my measurements, like the front bucket overhang, the wheelbase, the track width, and the backhoe overhang. And from what I measured, I thought that if I curled the bucket up over this front section, that it would fit perfectly, because it would set the rear tire just past the center line of these axles. That actually wasn't the case, and I'll show you here in a minute. But it was not something that I should have hauled on this trailer. But you know, you drive with common sense and don't do anything that you know you shouldn't do, anything that's just obviously dangerous, and you should be okay. Now, I did haul this 5 hours down some back roads and back highways of Georgia, but you know, I made it home safely. I had no trouble. I had to stop to retighten the straps every, I guess, hour or so, but after the second or after the third check, they were all tight the rest of the way home. But so let's walk around the trailer. I'll show you the dimensions. I already told you the weight capacity of it. It's obviously a bumper pull trailer. It's a 2 5/16 ball. So let's see the actual deck length. See, it's actually a little shy of 16 feet. It's 190 inches. And for the length, or sorry, width, that would go between fender and fender. That's not true deck space, but for something like a wheeled machine, that's the most important. You see it's 82 inches. I actually had to remove this fender in order to get it on here because it was just like ½ an inch overhang right here. One issue that I had when I got the truck home was that the trailer actually broke. I guess it was too much weight on this pin right, or this bar and this rear ear that holds it. It snapped the weld right there, snapped the weld here, and there's another that runs along the length right there. It snapped all those and it dropped that whole plate down. But it actually had some bad welds from the factory, and you can see that in this video. But I've since cleaned it up, welded it back, and it looks a million times better than it did before. As an example, that right there is what some of these welds on this trailer look like. They're not great, and I didn't have a lot of confidence when I thought about getting a backhoe on this thing, but luckily everything held together just fine. Not that it's too important, but height is kind of an issue. I think the backhoe's total height is around 11 foot 3 inches. So if you have a really tall trailer, you're going to be over the height limit. But for this one, this truck is fairly level at the moment. I don't have airbags or anything like that. This is just basic height. It's 22 inches in the rear, 26 in the front, and you could probably take the average of that. Once it's loaded down, it would be pretty level. And the truck that I haul it with, or did haul it with, is a 94 Dodge Ram 3500. It was originally a cabin chassis truck, so it was it had an 11-foot flatbed on it, not how you see it now. It's just a standard 8-foot bed. I've shortened the frame 28 inches, and I put single wheels on it instead of the duals that it had. The rear's bolted right up. The fronts, I had to remove the adapters, but it still has the original springs, so I'll show you those. Any of the 2500 trucks and the 3500 trucks, they don't have these springs. I think these are 8,000-pound springs. Maybe the 3500s with a camper package of some sort may have a thicker spring, but these are absolutely miserable on the road. Like unloaded, if you don't have 2,000 pounds on the rear axle, this truck rides awful, I'm not gonna lie. And the GCWR of this truck is 11,000 pounds. So you can see that here. The truck empty as it is, it weighs 6,300 pounds according to the scales at the landfill. So, you know, it's rated for 5,000 pounds in the bed, more or less. Like the axle is built to handle that. It has the factory towing hitch on it. It's a class 4, I think. I did have to buy a new ball mount. It's a 10,000 pound capacity ball. The one I had before was just a ball mount with a separate ball, but I got this one piece and it was able to meet that capacity. So it is also a 5-speed manual, not automatic. That may have some effect on the capacity, at least from what I've read it does. But there were some hills that I couldn't get over 15 miles an hour going up wide open in second gear, and hauling it back down hills or on flat road I could get up to about 60, 65 with no real problem. But I didn't load it correctly when I left, and it was just a little bit too far back. Like, it was still heavy on the truck, but it was not enough tongue weight. I had some fishtailing issues at 55 and faster. It would only happen if I did really quick steering maneuvers. Like if I went into a curve too hard or too fast, it would build up that momentum and it would keep it back and forth like the whole time. But as long as I could do 60 all day long if I just took really, really slow and careful steering movements. But you know, that's not always possible on some of the roads that we went down. So most of the trip I limited my speed at 50 miles an hour, and there's no trouble with that. But yeah, let's go ahead and get it loaded and show you how it fits. And as far as how this fits on the back of the trailer, or sorry, the width of the backhoe, you saw the measurements with the tape. You see this one's right on the edge of the deck, and this one's overhanging the deck a little bit. That's my fault. It could have been better. But it does fit between the fenders. They were just a little bit tight, like they were up against both tires when they were installed, but it did fit. And I guess tire size, it might be important for this, because some backhoes have different size tires, but that's what this one is, 17.5 L by 24. There's the front. The tires are a little bit low. You see that other side over there too. There's probably a couple inches between the tire and the edge of the deck. All right, so that's roughly where it was when I hauled it back. And you see the rear tire is just forward of the center line of the axle. And it's not all the way forward. Actually, it might have been a little bit further forward when I hauled it back. Just by the way it felt when I was pulling it up, it probably does need a little bit more tongue weight than that. But as you can see, the bucket is overhanging the bed of the truck. And like I said, that's exactly how I hauled it back. It might have been a little bit lower, but we also use straps, and there's obviously a lot of disadvantages to that, but that's all I had at the time. But if I'm ever going to move this machine again, I'll definitely not use straps, just because you can never get them tight enough on something like this, and they're able to build momentum and kinetic energy when the machine bounces around that it'll pretty easily snap them. I had one on each corner, two off the back corners of the backhoe frame, and two off of each corner, each end of the front axle. I also, after the first stop, I added a third or a fifth one going around the backhoe itself, like the swing tower right there, right above the bottom pin. And that was just a tie to both corners of the trailer for that one. The fronts kept loosening, I guess because it's just rubber tires on there. And that's one thing I think that would have made a massive difference in this, is that if I could have put that bucket on the trailer, that would be a non-flexible contact point. Because right now, as I said, it's just on all these tires. There's a lot of air and a lot of rubber there, so no matter how tight the straps get, it can still bounce around a lot. But just being able to put that bucket down flat on the trailer, maybe even the backhoe positively to the trailer, that would take a lot of the scare factor out of hauling this. So would I do it again? I don't think I would. The trailer is capable of it, but size wise, it's not. You could maybe do it on an 18-foot if the axles were a little further back on it, but I think bare minimum you're going to want a 20-foot trailer for a backhoe. I think the whole length of this thing is, I think, 22 feet in transport mode with the backhoe up like this. But it may seem like you're wasting trailer space, like you see all this back here that's not even being used, but that's not even important. What's important is getting enough tongue weight and being able to put the heavy parts of the machine in positive connection with the trailer, because like the way it is right now, this thing is really, really top heavy. And I could shake it by hand just to show you how much it moves around. And even if it was strapped, it would still move about that much. So that's where a lot of that fishtailing came from. But anyways, I hope this answered a lot of questions. I hope this helps a lot of people, because I couldn't find anything like this. I found one picture on the internet of a F-150 towing a backhoe on a car trailer like this, and I thought, wow, mine's definitely got it in for this one then. But it was actually a smaller John Deere model that was on that trailer that I saw. It wasn't even one this big or this heavy. But in case you don't know, this is a Case 580E. It does not have the extend hoe. It does not have the front counterweight. It is 2-wheel drive, It doesn't have the 4-in-1 bucket. So this is just a base model, basically, minus the loader leveler model or loader landscaper model that doesn't have a backhoe. But yeah, that's it, you guys. I hope that helps.